That means it is time, guys, to jump into pick and ban for game number 1. Kingzone on blue, Afreeca on red.
Galio being banned away first by Kingzone, saying that they don't want to pick that. Ezreal banned away by Afreeca Freecs, and Kingzone now banning away the Akali, which is interesting. Galio, traditionally the only champion that a lot of Korean players fear when wanting to select that Akali, but perhaps Kingzone not feeling comfortable with wanting it. Aurelia is still up, and so is Lucian. Let's move to the last ban, and ends up being a LeBlanc. This is going quite quick.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about LeBlanc nowadays is that more and more players are picking it up, and they're going to respect Pawn for his ability to pick that one up, saying, no, you will not be playing that tonight.
So, Urgot selected here. Have to see if that means that we see Aatrox for Afreeca Freecs.
Maybe some Kha'Zix play as well.
Kha'Zix might...
Or your good friend Joey. There. Yeah, well, we are going to jump into Lucian Morgana, as no surprise here from Afreeca. They're doing the same old weird stuff, as Spirit's got a big smile on his face.
And here's the thing about this. You don't know where those two champions are going. So Lucian could be going mid, he could be going top, he could be going bot lane, Morgana could be support, she could be AD, she could be mid, who knows, she could be top. So that's a really powerful opening from Afreeca, given that they have the ability to flex it into so many different positions. And it looks like Kingzone, they just want to respond to that with Varus, Tahm Kench. Overall, very safe, powerful lane.
Yeah, I like their approach where they're like, we don't really know what you're doing, but we're just going to take a safe lane that can survive and do damage and get deft on the board. So very big fan of that.
So what's interesting here is that Afreeca ends up actually selecting Thresh, so they show that the Morgana, at least, is not going to be in the support position. And I find that interesting because the Tahm Kench was already shown, and there's definitely a lot of champions that can abuse and bully him in the laning phase. But instead, they actually give Tahm a little bit of a bone. He's definitely going to have potential to eat allies out of the Thresh hooks and whatnot. And now as we move into the second ban phase, Nocturne and Olaf banned away by Afreeca, so it looks like they don't want any form of hard engage coming from Kingzone.
Yeah. Like the Olaf ban, you also mentioned Aurelia comes in, but no redemption Olaf today. We saw Tarzan playing that yesterday. Definitely watched those VODs, but looks like we have spotted Dred's champion, as looks like, of course, could be Flex, that he will be jumping onto the Camille.
Makes me really surprised that actually Camille made it this far, but I do have to say that with the Camille and the short range that Afreeca has on some of their champions, Kingzone has the ability to just choose champions that counter heavy engage or that is very good against that lineup. And the Jax hover from Kingzone I actually think is fantastic. You can throw the Urgot mid, Jax will be super powerful later on. Jax could even go jungle here. We don't actually know yet. Kingzone has yet to select anything. Jax very powerful against Camille. Obviously going to be good against Lucian. Just has to worry about the Black Shield when going for a stun.
Yeah, definitely the Jax jungle. Big thing nowadays. They're also hovering this Rise a lot, and they are going to be locking that one in. So have that for the top lane, and there it is. Annie's showing her face. But will it be played? Because Morgana already in the lineup here, and it will not be, as looks like Yukal probably going to be hopping onto that Azir.
We talked about how Afreeca had a lot of short-range champions, and they had that heavy engage inside of Camille, and so rather than just funneling into that one-dimensional type of team composition, I like that they accompany this team comp with the Azir, massive amounts of range and poke, and it does do quite well against Kingzone's team composition. Now they're the ones that are going to have to do heavy engage. Jax is going to have to jump in. Urgot going to have to go for maybe flashies or something. And Azir, if they can just keep him safe, he'll be able to just rain down so much damage on this Kingzone team composition, and it'll be really hard for them to win.
Yeah, definitely feels good as the game goes along, and that Azir and even the Lucian can begin to scale up. I like that you mentioned the one-dimensional kind of thing is avoided here from Afreeca. We've seen a lot of these Galio Camille or Galio Nocturne, Galio Kha'Zix, all these Galio heavy engaged compositions that just try to go head first in the wall and just fail a lot of the time. So they will be avoiding that here tonight. As we're taking a look here at Kingzone's composition, Pawn is going to be hopping onto Rise, actually. Pretty interesting pick. We don't see him too often, and Urgot actually not showing his face in the mid lane, so they're giving Pawn a little bit of a leash once again to try to carry this game.
So Kingzone's team comp with the Urgot and the Rise with the Varus as the primary carry is going to be going up against the Azir. in the mid lane, and that's going to be the primary carry. This is not a traditional protect the Azir type of team composition, but you have to understand that he is the primary focus of this comp and how it's going to win in the later stages. Kingzone has the option to try to 1-3-1, backing up their side lanes with the Tahm Kench ultimate, and that's another type of win con that they might have available to them.
Yeah, definitely looks that way. So match number 17, game 1 is starting now. Kingzone up against Afreeca. Let's hop into it. So we're back here in the LCK arena, and I love how the fans wait to cheer until their team actually shows on camera. Definitely very funny stuff. Also, Riot listing Spirit as the jungler. Kind of confusing, as he is actually in the bottom lane on Morgana. If you guys have not seen this, this is Afreeca's new normal kind of play, as Spirit is not the jungler. Dread, their sub-jungler, their new very aggressive, very balls to the wall kind of head first into everything kind of jungler, jumping back onto Camille. So excited to see what he can do with that as well. And guys, we are going to have a swap here as Azir is going bot.
And so I was going to say that I loved what Deft did. He took teleport on the Varus. He has the refillable and the longsword. And with the Tahm Kench having cleanse, it was going to be so hard for Afreeca to get kills in this lane. But instead, they're sending Yukal bottom. And I love this so much. This makes me feel so excited to watch this game.
Definitely adds a new dimension where, you know, a lot of unexpected stuff come in, and we talk about all the flexes that can be put into this game, and Afreeca kind of take it to the next level, as here we go. Yukal is laning with Proud in the bottom lane.
And so now Deft and Tushin going to have to be a little bit more careful. They're going to suffer a lot more pushback from this Azir now, as Cuz looking to counter jungle Dread, as he knows that he's on the left-hand side of the map. Bottom lane's going to start to get a little bit scary for Deft and Tushin. After post-recall, Azir has the teleport too, so it's not like Deft and Tushin can just try to attack his mana pool and force him back.
Yeah, definitely attacking his health pool, though, as the Varus spoke is getting real, but you can see that the Azir, Yukal here, has picked up Corrupting Potion just to make sure he can sustain himself in the lane. It's actually becoming a thing in the bot lane as well. We see from some of the awesome dudes, the non-AD carries that do go into the bottom lane. They just pick up the sustain in the Corrupting Potion because they know they're just going to be clearing waves and trying to survive.
And massive wave now crashing. They're going to definitely be able to get some chip damage on these plates. Oh, and some poke damage too. Deft almost out of mana though, so this might end up being his last wave before he looks to just get that teleport off.
Yeah, definitely feeling the burn, and some interesting builds down there. We're going to have to talk about Dread though. He's coming in onto Pawn, looking for the gank, but Cuz is nearby, and Dread is going to just think twice about this one. He's hanging around a lot, actually, definitely considering this gank. If the binding lands, definitely they go, but it does miss. Dread shows himself, and a bit of information given over to Kingzone.
So the problem here and why they're trying to bring Dread into the mid lane is because Spirit's hurting, and you can see that inside of the CS gap, and despite both laners having teleport, Pawn was in a position where he was going to be able to start attacking Spirit's mana pool, zoning him out of experience, and then just threatening so much more damage, and Spirit just wasn't going to be able to stabilize and trade, so they wanted to try to bring Dread mid, try to get some sort of an edge or an advantage there and relieve the pressure. Didn't quite work out, and in doing so, Dread gave away his location.
Yeah, Def being a big team player, picks up double control ward, actually. Puts one in the brush, and also picked up a fairy charm. We see that from time to time. It's very cheap, has good resale value. But they're looking for the flash here, and uh-oh, the disdain does miss onto Keen. He just easily dashes away from that one, and now flashes down on Rascal there on the failed gank.
That's actually a really big deal now, as Rascal's not going to have the easiest kill potential at level 6 either. It looks like Cuz really wants to force the issue here. And this is a little problematic, because there's no way this is going to work. It looks like Cuz is actually just going to try to help shove out the wave with Rascal, but in doing so, this means that Dread is going to be the first one to get to his rubber banded camps. And so Camille is already a little bit ahead of the Jax, but he did get some XP from the top lane.
Yeah, no, just the new meta, double top, as Kingzone trying to catch up to Afreeca, perhaps. But yeah, you're definitely right. Just making sure that Urgot, after losing his flash, can get a good back. And first TP in the mid lane going to be used up here by Pawn. Looks like Spirit's going to look for his own one. And we've been seeing this a bit in the mid lane, I want to mention, but the double dark seal, call it the dank seal once it's more than one, has been picked up on UCal, actually, in the bottom lane. We saw that from LeBlanc yesterday after she got a couple of kills, or maybe it was Zoe there for Chovy. But either way, becoming more common here. What's your take on that build there, Les?
Well, it's okay. It offers you lots of good dueling potential. Not as much as Doran's because you're not getting the HP, but for the most part, it's going to help you stabilize, trade against the opponent, and just get good chip damage. And when you have an aggressive jungler as well, it can definitely help set up for certain lane states to be favorable for you. That's basically the mindset behind that. Dread up here in top lane, gets spotted out on a ward, ends up clearing it.
Yeah, I had that sweeper for a long time in this game. Oh boy, Tom Kent's getting feisty down there as Tucson able to even poke down onto UCal. Excited to see the way that this game goes here for Def, because you can see he's already up about, 13, 14 CS after this this wave has been gone. He's totally safe against the Thresh, as you mentioned, with the Tom Kents. He's put in on that harass. He's going to have an amazing farm lane. And that's exactly what Kingzone want in this game.
And speaking of things that Kingzone wants, it looks like they want to pick up the Cloud Drake. And that will certainly help Jax move across the map faster, get to places that he wants to be. And they're just going to be able to get that for free. Doesn't look like Afreeca has any inkling that it's going on right now.
It's getting pretty low. They actually call over Tucson to come here and tank it. Otherwise, would have had to smite early. Goes in there with the smite, just wants to get home. I'm glad you mentioned the movement speed around the map, because definitely a lot of people like to talk about engage potential and just even the movement speed within the fights. But as a jungler, making sure you're fast and around the map is definitely a big thing.
And speaking about top lane, as we're getting a view of that right here, you can already see the CS gap. And Rascal is having quite a sizable wave crashed on him. It looks like Keen not too keen on trying to get any poke damage.
It's rough, you're going up against Lucian that can be a big lane bully. It's also Keen, who easily avoided the gank, and Urgot Rascal up there after losing his flash had to be a bit more careful. So kind of going as expected after just the way that this game has been coming along.
And right now, this is the pathing where Dread's going to end up getting level 6. He's also going to have a red buff on him. Cuz as well, but when you look at bottom lane, it's pushing into Proud and UCal. So Jax is going to be on the opposite side of the map where Sparks are likely able to fly. Morgana's going to come back into mid lane as Ryze crashes it, and that means that he will be... Well, actually, it looks like he wants to potentially path bottom. But we can see now Dread pathing up into top lane. Maybe want to just make a dive onto Rascal.
Yeah, got to be careful about that, though. You know, Urgot can be tanky. He also has Ignite from his Unsealed Spellbook, so could definitely see a world where he's able to turn this one around, especially onto that very squishy Camille. We'll have to wait and see. Here comes that dive you were talking about as in goes Dread. Rascal taking a lot of damage, but Culling is going to be blocked there by a bunch of the minions and Keen. As I expected, taking a little bit too much damage, too much fire there from the turret, and the gank will not be pulled off.
Gank not... It didn't end up succeeding. A little bit surprised that Dread didn't try to go for a wraparound and Keen lock him into the lane, but you can see what was ended up happening where Jax was just on the opposite side of the map, and because his bottom lane was pushing, he ends up just being forced to run around, do nothing, and then eventually go collect his golems. So even though Deft and Tushin are doing a fantastic job down here, they already have 2 plates. He wasn't able to get too much, but not the end of the world as Dread and Keen didn't get anything either.
Yeah, it's always good to check in on the bottom lane as Deft is just having a ball down there. The Azir for UCal is not really working out so far. He's down already 30 CS at 10 minutes, so you want that Azir to scale, you want him to be there, but not really having the best early game in this one, LS.
And he's also going into Seeker's Arm Guard, which I find a little bit surprising. I think with the amount of magic damage that's on Kingzone, would have expected Def to just go for attack speed Varus with Wit's End, but maybe he doesn't want to do that. If you go Lethality Varus, you do have a means of fighting back against the Azir poke later on in the game, and he's getting such an edge right now, but UCal's itemization means he's not going to have any CDR, he's not going to have any mana. This Azir is going to be very, very stunted in the mid game, and that's actually where they need him most.
Yeah, they definitely do, and that means that they're essentially having a losing lane. They might have to give up more objectives, including a Rift Herald, which will go the way of Cuz. He picks that up right away, right at 10 minutes. So he's going to have that Rift Herald. We'll be looking for a couple of turret plates here. We'll see where he does end up using that Shelly onto the map. Definitely a big objective to pick up. He already had the Cloud Drake before and feeling pretty good about his jungle so far.
And that Herald taking it a perfect timing to still collect plates. As you said, we'll have to see where it ends up being used. 4 in mid lane, 5 still in top lane. Would probably be very difficult to actually organize a way to be able to use it top lane and break that turret and get Urgot out of that lane. So more likely to see it cast into either bottom lane or mid.
Yeah, liking the bottom lane idea. Already 3 plates are down. They could look for first turret blood and just get the Varus that's ultra fed already out onto the map. Would be excited to see him head down that way, but he's actually heading into the mid lane, and it's going to be spotted on a ward, which I don't think that Kingzone know about. So we'll see how Afreeca respond to this.
Sure, just show Cuz.
He's looking for it, but no Rune Prison comes in, actually binding onto Pawn, so no fight will break out. But all the vision in the bottom river means that maybe think about it. Here comes the Rift Herald now, but we got Proud and Dread in position to try to defend this one. We'll be able to get the charge off, and a couple of plates will go the way of Rise. Really happy about that one. Kingzone looking really fantastic here in the early game.
Yeah, they are just getting so many advantages via these plates. You can see bottom almost on its last plate here. There's still a minute and a half remaining. We're going to see if Deft is going to be able to actually get that. But this is not a situation that you want to be in as Afreeca. Yes, they have wave clear. Yes, they can definitely stall. But the problem is that Kingzone, they're no strangers to Hearthstone. They rolled a Mountain Drake, which is exactly what they need. It's going to help with raising those tier 2 turrets later and also threatening Baron Bursts. And with the Azir being under-leveled because he was in the ADC role, it's going to be really hard for him to offer that insane poke and damage that you would have thought that they would be relying on with their team comp.
Yeah, for sure. And the one shining light that could come back to try to carry this game is Keen, but he's been up in the top lane. He is winning, but he's not really helping them get any objectives as Kingzone is just ruling the bottom side of the map. They take everything they want. They are the kings down there. They might even get this turret eventually as another Drake should go their way. And Dread is trying to do something about it. Doesn't have his flash, but is looking for a gank on the bottom side. But already UCal loses his entire health bar essentially, and Afreeca lose another Drake.
I really like what Def just did there. He ulted and poked and told UCal, hey buddy, you gotta get out of this lane. And we have a pause.
Interesting timing there as UCal nearly died to the Arcane Comet. We'll have to wait and see what is actually happening here on the Rift. Didn't notice any problems, didn't notice any bugs or anything like that, so will be interesting.
I noticed a problem.
Yeah, what's that?
Afreeca's having a pretty rough time bottom lane. That seems like a pretty big problem.
Wait, this isn't fair. We need to restart the big band. As looks to be Rascal's problem. Maybe a mouse issue. Yeah, Rascal's mouse is lagging a bit, is what we just heard from the producer. So, gonna try to fix this one in due time here, guys.
Right now, the gold advantage for Kingzone is 2.2k. And they're about to get that bottom tier 1 turret that we saw right before it went to the pause. So, that gold lead's about to extend even further. One thing that we can say that Afreeca has going for them, though, is there's no Rift Herald anymore. There's no Dragon coming up for a while. They're going to be content to just sit back and try to farm. They're likely going to lose the mid-tier 1 turret in the meantime. And then the next problem is that Deft and Tushin are going to rotate to top lane, and that's going to put an end to Keen's advantage that he's trying to accrue on top lane Lucian.
What do you think about the Lucian as the game goes along? I haven't actually been too impressed by it so far. We saw Lulu and Lucian. The Lucian yesterday actually used there by Jin Air to not so great effect. Might have just been because Jin Air struggling as a team nowadays, but Lucian in the mid game, I feel like up against even Urgot especially, eventually you just can't really kill that tank, and he doesn't have much in terms of that late game. But what do you think, Ellis?
Yeah, one of the issues that Afreeca is going to have in this game is we saw that Ryze went for an early Glacial Shroud, so he's going to have some armor against the Camille, against the Lucian, who are likely to be the only two problematic champions as we do approach the mid game, and so that's going to be a problem for Keen. Urgot's going to be a really big problem for Keen, and then Tahm Kench is going to be able to save anyone who could even come close to danger. Yeah. And with Azir being so gimped, he's not going to offer any ability for Camille to have a clear path to just dive someone and try to delete them backed up with the Azir soldiers, or Lucian to E forward and do something aggressively. So I think the Lucian really has his work cut out for him because he doesn't really have any teammates that are going to be able to provide him with anything.
Yeah. I feel like I would have liked the Vayne a little bit more. I'm not sure how it does in the top lane up against the Urgot and Lucian. Definitely a tier list pick. You see it banned a lot here in the LCK, but personally I would have liked to see the Vayne. Definitely looking for more Vayne games that will eventually, no doubt, be coming back on the Rift here for LCK. Still waiting for Rascal to solve his issue, as he actually uses that Razer mouse pad kind of set to the tall position. It kind of makes me uncomfortable, Ellis.
Does it?
Yeah.
You don't like that?
I like the wide position a little bit better.
I like the full mouse pads.
Yeah, me too.
The ones that have enough room for your keyboard and stuff?
Yeah.
Yep.
Actually, I had one, but it kind of got old, and I had to replace it recently with a smaller one. So
that's really sad.
A little bit sad about that. Maybe that's why I got placed in Iron 4. But it looks like it is actually a client issue here from Rascal, not a mouse issue, so might take a little bit more. Wow. Okay. Violence is not the answer, fans.
I don't know what that was about. He was pretty angry. Afreeca Freecs, Keen Whiting.
Yes.
We got a Keen fan in the crowd, and now they made up. Oh,
wait,
what?
Not
anymore. Nope.
His fan sign, he's not showing it very well. His fan sign mechanics definitely lacking a little bit here. But it said something about hitting his friend, so I suppose that's why he's hitting his friend, LS. So on a rank, can I actually repeat that? Produce what? If I get caught on camera, I'm gonna hit my friend. Okay, so that's what the fan sign actually said. So we have that clarified. I'm very happy. But for more important question here, LS, on a scale of 1 to 10, how disappointed are you that Spirit didn't play Annie?
I mean, I almost wanted to just leave the cast.
Oh my god.
I was about to just quit. Yeah. I was going to walk off stage.
It was very disappointing.
Yeah.
I wish it could have come in.
I had to contain myself.
There is a second game. It will definitely happen, at least the second game. Not sure about the Annie, but with Olivares having a very fun time as Deft, he just owns the bottom lane.
And talking about owning lane's turret, ends up falling. Wow, lots of applause for that. All right.
They take their first blood turrets very seriously, LS. We actually have a cool thing here in the LoL park where after an objective is taken, a bunch of lights that are color-coded flash around. So if Baron is taken, purple lights, obviously. If turrets are taken, I think it's white. And also for the Drakes, different kind of colors. So Infernal is red, and it'll flash around. It's a really cool experience. I'm actually looking forward to watching my first game here as a fan for SKT Griffin. That's going to be a fun one. Definitely going to be watching that one here, as I assume Pop and Atlas will be taking care of the cast on that one.
That is going to be a match that I think many people are looking forward to. Camille was not looking forward to that, though. That was not an enjoyable experience for her.
Yeah, didn't seem to see it coming either, as she just kind of took it Def with the 400 IQ read on where exactly he was.
And the poke damage is just absolutely bonkers right now. Okay, well,
they do have Tom Kench, but how about the full engage here as Tucson down to gray health. The big stun comes in from Cuz as he turns this fight around. Tom Kench goes down, but 2 kills. Double kill goes to Def in the mid lane as Kingzone able to turn that one around.
That was absolutely beautiful usage of Tom's shield. He got maximum value out of it, and then Cuz able to come in there with that stun. That was a really unfortunate turn of events for Afreeca. What started out looking so good just went away so quick.
Yeah. That's why the Tom Kench pick you highlighted in Pick Ban is just so important, especially when played well like that. He just saves even Deft from his own mistakes, which tends to happen quite a lot.
Take a look at this again. Tushin, I guess, wasn't expecting the hook to hit right away, but he gets max value on that shield, and then Deft able to just get in there right at the end right there, the red buff able to help out. You see the coaches very happy.
Even that got the crowd reaction at the same time. That was kind of a cool effect as the coach is extremely happy about this one. And now, how about a Duskblade for good old Lethality Varus? It's very fun when you get ahead on the Lethality Varus or Lethality champions in general, as you're just going to be chunking people for half their health every single time.
Ooh, that one just missed. And yeah, Deft is absolutely massive right now. An Ocean Drake coming up in a minute and a half. Afreeca should not be looking to contest that. They should just basically say, hey, we're going to farm in front of our tier 2 turrets. You guys can do whatever you want. But one of the problems with that is because the Varus is so big, he's the champion that can siege those turrets. He can force them off it. And with Azir still being gimped, he finally has that Nashor's Tooth, but he's not going to be able to give him enough pushback. Look at that damage.
It's pretty insane. And, well, they're going for it here. It's actually Lucian going to be caught out as Keen just disappears. And now Proud in a ton of trouble as well. No need for the Realm Warp as 2 kills come in kind of gifted over to the side of Kingzone as they are popping off here in game 1.
They're going to get this tier 2 turret, and I liked how Keen seemingly just ran into Deft. He just said, you know what, just take me. At this point, put me out of it.
I can't stand it anymore. I can't carry the steam anymore.
Go next.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a mistake there. He'll have to turn that one around, and he's essentially the one big carry on the side of Afreeca. But take another look at this.
Let's take another look one more time. I'm sure Keen would like to too. Watch him right at the end. He's trying to get to the lantern, but not quite.
Yeah.
And Proud, he wasn't too proud of what just happened.
Yes, definitely a bit disappointed with that one. Had his life taken as well. Got a couple of things to mention. Tucson actually trolling Ghost Cleanse in the bottom lane, just like my level 3 Garen at 18 minutes in solo queue that I played yesterday. But now just have the Unsealed Spellbook, of course, the Cleanse, very useful up against all of the bindings and CC that Afreeca does have. Make sure he can get Deft to safety the next time he gets hooked. And also Pawn, what do you think about this Righteous Glory build? Definitely not something we see all the time.
I think the Righteous Glory is actually really good. He's going to have that Seraph's Embrace eventually. He has a lot of armor. He has some magic resistance as well with his boots. And he's going to be able to catch out to anyone who's just a little bit overextended, hit him with the Rune Prison, and then should just be able to delete them. Right now, Kingzone, they're just doing whatever they please. And you can also see that Afreeca is actually botching the speed at which they rotate and catch these lanes, so they're definitely missing out on value, and Kingzone is just getting everything that they want.
Yeah. It was an unfortunate question I had to ask myself. Gonna get a chance to say it on cast here, but Gen G struggling, actually one of the biggest teams here in the LCK, but one of the biggest strugglers we've had so far. And I had to ask myself, are Afreeca just trying this kind of weird strat up against a weaker team to see how it goes? It worked against Gen G, but up against Kingzone, who seems to be a stronger team, this feels like it's falling flat on its face to no success.
Definitely the game is not going well. It's about to be almost a 9,000 gold lead here at 20 minutes. And with that Mountain Drake and how far ahead Kingzone is, they can convert any kill into a Baron.
You were talking about turret siege. Well, Deft has given you a taste as essentially nobody can sit underneath the turret as Dread gets chunked out. Keen has to go back to the base. It's just disaster underneath these turrets as Deft is shown him the long arm of the law essentially here on this Varus.
And Rascal, is he going to stick around to pick up the Azir turret? No, I guess not. Not interested in it. He doesn't want it.
Yeah, he only likes real turrets.
Yeah, he's not a fan of that.
Fake turrets, yeah. He doesn't like fakers.
No?
That's for sure. Yeah, definitely not a fan. As it does end up going down anyway, as UCal is desperately trying to farm in this game. As here we go again. Actually, in a ton of trouble. Look at that damage. It's insane from the Varus and the Tom Kent. Pulling off another huge devour. Will Cuz die anyway? No! He is going to live on the backside, and here comes big boy Urgot looking for a big flank in the backside, and there's Pawn as well, as it is just utter disaster in this game now. Only Keen survives. He wishes he was dead, but he is going to be chased down here by the rest of Kingzone. As we're getting the big-time angle here as well. They're just going to ignore him and go for the Baron. It's utter devastation here for Game 1, LS.
Yeah, and this is going to be the Baron picked up by Kingzone. And with how far ahead they are, the Varus, it's just going to... There's no way that Afreeca's team composition can actually resist. They just don't have the items to try to wave clear against these Baron minions. Oh, the taunts!
This is actually hilarious. He tied to the minions, too. Oh, what a first game. This is exactly what I wanted to cast with you, LS. Says,
here we go.
Let's get another taste of the Varus.
Yeah, let's get a look at the replay of the Afreeca members being where they shouldn't. Someone told them that they should be contesting the Baron while down 10k. They didn't quite get the memo that Kingzone cosplaying Protoss as they just A-move right through Afreeca.
Yeah.
Not much to really do here. Lucian running. Hopefully he was trying to run to the other team. Now we're going to probably just see the final siege here. And Baron, accompanied by Ocean Drake. This siege doesn't have to end. And Afreeca, they're trying one last desperation attempt.
They're trying to get Deft as desperately as they can. Nice Emperor's Divide is actually going to get him down here as UCal is low, but not finished off. Deucin going to be binded as now Afreeca looking to come back, but Cuz says no. Is going to hit him with this lamppost, and here comes Pawn as well. As the devastation continues, Keen cannot carry on this one. Is trying to kite Cuz, does a very nice job of it, in fact, but is too low to really do much, and Cuz says, I'm just going to go back to PvEing and taking down the turrets. Oh. See you later.
And Cuz, meanwhile, going to be able to raise that inhibitor, and just look at the minion waves in top and bottom, respectively. They should be able to get 2 inhibitors here. Cuz running down, and they're even calling in the teleport from Deft. Actually, they should be able to end the game.
You know, it's if they do want to try to force this, might not be a bad idea. Their siege is just insane with Deft, but they're going to take the LCK way out. They're going to play it safe, not going to try to force it just yet. Definitely going to be looking for the end soon as, you know, just a casual 14,000 gold lead at 24 minutes here for Kingzone, who honestly did not look very enticing in the Kespa Cup, and looked bad at the beginning here of LCK, but looking good today.
Can we just take a look at this? They get a nice pickoff onto Deft, but the problem is that the remaining members just have extra items. They have too much damage. They're level leads. It just doesn't even matter that you've got Deft. Jax is too strong. Rascal's too strong. Pawn coming up. And with their whole team composition being so clumped together, it's just so good for Kingzone.
Yeah, everybody's played that solo queue game where your team is desperately trying to surrender, but a couple of guys just say no. And even though you're down 14,000, 15,000 gold, kind of feels that way this time. Nobody's going to surrender, of course, here in pro play, but Afreeca is going for gank brushes and desperate attempts to try to make this comeback happen.
Oh. Oh,
Well, time to go back to base.
Baron is almost expired. Trying to do a little bit of poke damage onto Rascal.
So, what do you think about game 2? What has to change here for Afreeca if they want to come back? I'd personally like to see the Vayne. What do you think, LS?
Well, I have to wonder what other secret things Afreeca supposedly has in store, because they're probably going to need access to one of them if they want to have a chance in game number 2. This game was very surprised by how bottom lane went, but hold that thought.
Okay, 3-man stun as Pawn is righteous glorying towards the enemy team. The level lead and the items are just way too much as Pawn finally finding some success here, getting many kills for that righteous glory rise. He is going to go down though. 1,000 gold goes to Keen. As Kingzone look to end game number 1, looks like they should be able to in a cool 26 minutes. How about a couple of kills on the backside? Might be able to catch Keen, and there he does go down. See you later, as game number 1 in 26 minutes goes the way of Kingzone.
And that was a really quick, indecisive victory. Kingzone just never let up any pressure. They just took one turret, the next, then they got some kills, converted that into the third turret. They got Rift Herald almost as soon as it spawned. Cuz was just on top of stuff, especially, and the few glimmers of hope that Afreeca had going for them just turned completely negative in just the blink of an eye.
Yeah, I mean, Azir just cosplaying as one of his sand soldiers and turning to sand in the bottom lane. It's like he didn't even exist, and honestly, that makes me kind of sad, as I don't feel like that's where UCal belongs, just getting pummeled by Varus in the bottom lane. As the Morgana flex to mid, we can say very effectively that it did not work. And as you mentioned, would love to see some of their new secret strats, because I mean, that was a secret one, but definitely very obvious, it seemed, in the face of Kingzone.
Yeah, and I have to say that I was really surprised by how the bottom lane went. I actually originally made a comment that I thought that Azir would be able to do a lot more in that matchup, but it looks like Def was just getting the better end of all the pokes, and Azir was never able to threaten any blowback, and obviously Dread was never around that lane, so they just kept bleeding.
You mentioned Dread as well. He was pretty absent in this one, actually had less damage than the rest, so very unfortunate there. But I mentioned the long arm of the law. That was definitely Deft in this game. Almost 30,000 damage, had more than 1,000 damage a minute here. So Deft boosting his numbers. Felt like he was boosting in this game as he totally just destroyed Afreeca, bottom lane and in the game.
I feel like I was just looking at a Forgiven graph really quick right there. I thought this was Riot's sick game of Find Forgiven right there. Def, that was insane damage.
Yeah, it was big, and it raises questions, right? It was super safe. It totally won the bottom side. They got Varus Tom Kent's pick ban. Seemed lackluster there for Afreeca, and the game as well did definitely not go according to their plan. So, guys, we are going to jump quickly to a break before we do hop into game number 2 here, Afreeca versus Kingzone. We'll have to wait and see what new secret strats they have, Ellis.
Waiting for Annie.
Yeah, just waiting for that Annie. When will Spirit pull it out is the question. Do we see a game 3? Another question is Kingzone. They're desperately trying to join that upper echelon here in the LCK. But either way, guys, we're going to hop to a quick commercial break. When we do come back, we're going to jump into game number 2 at Kingzone up against Afreeca.